Oh, wait.
Woo!
Get it.
It's a video!
We the young are not a complicated bunch. Turn down the volume when you can turn up the vibe. It's never about the destination, it's about the journey. And this is so true when it comes to South Africa. This land wants you to live in the here and now.
The coolest.
And not in some hashtag, because a place this timeless doesn't follow trends. It sets them. And her people have a way of making you feel at home. So come touch and live South Africa. Come journey with us.
Good evening, this is Eswatini TV News at 8, read to you by myself, Natile Sitole, alongside Zamanzi Manze. First up, let's have a look at our top stories. The now concluded Bugano ceremony for 2022 was a huge success. The Minister of Finance says smallholder farmers need support for them to tap into commercial farming. The Kingdom of Eswatini joined the rest of the UN family in celebrating World Oral Health Awareness Day. And now the news in detail. The now concluded Bugano ceremony for this year 2022 was hugely successful. This year the Lutanga Regiment impressed their majesties with their newly composed songs, which served as a platform for discussions around issues of national importance.
The Bugano ceremony, which was a hugely successful event, ended on a high note on Sunday at the Hlane Royal Residence Arena, where the Lutanga Regiment displayed colorful dances before the Ingonyama. The regiment continued to win the heart of His Majesty by unveiling more compositions, while a Makosigati to His Majesty and princesses stole the show and displayed colorful Gutamba dances. During this year's event, His Majesty the King applauded the regiment for the newly composed songs which built the nation in different ways, while Her Majesty the Indlovukazi encouraged women in the country to diversify from the marula tree and consider other trees which they can use to produce commercial products. The ceremony attracted diplomats like the British High Commissioner to Eswatini, His Excellency Simon Boyden, who experienced it for the first time.
And I can already see a hugely impressive turnout. It's my first experience of one of the traditional and important annual festivals. This one obviously under the patronage of Her Majesty, and I'm looking forward to seeing an example of Swazi culture and tradition. I'm reminded of actually, it's a very different, but similarities with our Troop in the Colour ceremony in the UK, which takes place every year in front of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. And I suspect this is a similar event where we'll have some wonderful dancing, some wonderful music, and a great sense of community and togetherness.
Former Prime Minister Dr. Absalom Themba Dlamini, who has served Their Majesties and the nation for many years, says in his experience he has continuously noted that culture is a powerful platform that unites the nation.
Lisiko noma emasiko angimahlanganisa ahlanganisa sive ngebuhle ngoba na ubuka nje la kuhlangene lonke live kuyagidwa kuhle kunjeya kuhle vele kakhulu.
The Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Mangoba Khumalo, says His Majesty the King's call for the production of new and exciting products from the marula tree requires a full-scale commercialization of the marula trade.
I think kudinga ukuthi vele le business yemaganu si commercialize ngoba uma ubuka onke lama products yebo lamhla sisemkhosini we-celebrate which is a once off event lamaganu, kepha ke mawubuka lokho ukuthi yini lokunye lokwentwa kongalamaganu kufanele silethi ihlahla saletilinywa commercially nalokuvuna kwentiwe commercially nalokuwastorisha kwentiwe commercially ukuze kwekuthi siqale ibusiness letawuba sustainable.
For the Lubombo Regional Administrator, the ceremony was the perfect opportunity to invite local and international investors to consider the region as a preferred investment destination.
Sive asati ukuthi impilo iselubonjeni. Nabo somabhizinisi abede vele ngetinkantawo iminyango ivulekile. Phela ngulapho la kuyinjini khona emnotho la. Buya nawe utohlanyela.
On the news, I am Sandile Makanye reporting from Hlane Royal Residence.
The Minister of Finance, Nuremberg, says smallholder farmers need relevant support for them to grow and tap into commercial farming as opposed to only focusing on subsistence farming. The minister was speaking during a meeting with IFAD Vice President Dr. Donald Brown, who is in the country.
The Vice President, Program Management Department in the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, Dr. Donald Brown is in Eswatini to look at the transformation of agriculture of smallholder farmers to try and improve the income of rural communities. Dr. Brown had a meeting with the Minister of Finance, Neil Rickenberg, to discuss how smallholder farmers can possibly be assisted. The minister says farmers can form groups and move from subsistence to commercial farming.
But I think the structure we have, I think we got it right. I think the main focus of grouping farmers together to be able to go from subsistence farming to commercial farming is also the right thing. It's a matter of just seeing, but I think there's probably a lot we can do still to improve how we do that, access the country, knowing what it's all about, knowing who's available, linking it in with the right level, because the problem is in the rural areas you can link it in just with the communities directly. You can link it in through the chiefs, you can link it in through the Tingundla centers, through the RD work. We do it the right way too.
Dr. Brown says they are looking at making sure that farmers make a significant contribution to the economy and a positive impact through farming.
But the main objective is to try to improve the incomes of rural communities by finding opportunities for them all the way along the value chain. In Eswatini, there's are focused at different aspects of the value chain, and we're now looking at projects and really ensure that smallholder agriculture in Eswatini can make a significant contribution to the economy of this country. The potential is great. Despite climate change, I think Eswatini still has many natural advantages in agriculture. I think you obviously have to adapt here to climate change.
The fund's main objective is to eradicate poverty in developing countries and works with smallholder farmers and improve income of communities. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, Babane.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation has held an induction workshop for the newly appointed Eswatini envoys abroad to familiarize them with the workings of foreign service. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Melusi Masugu, says the newly appointed Eswatini envoys will also be capacitated on the country's policy and strategic direction.
Following the appointment of new Eswatini envoys abroad by His Majesty King Mswati III 2 weeks ago, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation on Monday held an induction workshop for the newly appointed Eswatini envoys to familiarize them with the workings of the Foreign Service. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Melusi Masugu, says through the workshop they will share with the dignitaries the country's policy and strategic direction for the financial year 2022-2023 and other issues of national interest.
Kuningi nje lesibafundisa kona utawukhumbula ukuthi na almost 4 years ago nakungena uhulumende lomusha kwaba khona umgomo lomusha wahulumende lobitwa ngokuthi strategic roadmap lesathulwa so ke nathi ke sihamba kulowo mgomo lo utawukhumbula futhi ukuthi kuthi nakaqala iCovid kwaba ne strategy nalapho solo sihamba kulowo mgomo lo ukuthi bolisiba ababambise live kwekuthi kutotholakala bosomabhizinisi labangeta lapha ekhaya njengoba nibona nje ukuthi live likhungethwe kakhulu indzaba yekungatholi umsebenzi for iyouth yalapha ekhaya. So ke lokunye ke lesikubukile lokho. Ngaphandle kwaloko ke siphinde futhi sibukeke nenkubo nje yelitiko le ukuthi bayende my expectations elitiko. Litiko ke line culture yalo yekusebenza. So nalapho ke siya emphasize nje kakhulu kwekuthi batawusebenza njani, batiphathe njani.
The workshop will take a week and the countries include the United Kingdom, the United States of America and the Republic of South Africa amongst others. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkasiwe Koza with Fumenko Sinsinesa Babane.
The Ministry of Finance has held an enterprise risk management training for 6 government ministries on the pillars of the recently launched enterprise risk management policy. This has been said by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Sizakele Dlamini, who was represented by the Director of Reforms in the Ministry, Thulisile Kametse.
Following the launch of the enterprise risk management policy by the Minister of Finance, Neil Rickenberg, a few months ago, the ministry has on Monday launched an enterprise risk management training. The government of the Kingdom of Eswatini is being assisted by the Commonwealth in technical support. Speaking during the official opening of the workshop, the Principal Secretary at the Ministry of Finance, Sizakele Dlamini, who was represented by the Director of Reforms, Thulisile Kametse, said the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini has been challenged by various situations within its operations which put to light the lack of a risk management system.
The government of Eswatini has been challenged by various situations within its operations which put to light the lack of a risk management system. From the financial year 2011, for example, the ministry experienced a large number of stock of outstanding payments. And this made us realize the importance of a risk management system and the risk of not having such in place.
Advisor of Public and Financial Management at the Commonwealth, Augustus Cole, said the successful implementation of the policy will put Eswatini on the SADC exemplary map.
Whenever we speak of risk management going forward, we shall always reference the Kingdom of Eswatini as an example, a shining example of the ERM implementation in Africa.
Once all the government ministries are capacitated on the enterprise risk management policy, a national risks registry will be formed under the Internal Audit Office at the Ministry of Finance. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkasiwe Koza with Fumenko Sinsinesa Sulwini.
The Kingdom of Eswatini joined the rest of the UN family in celebrating World Oral Health Awareness Day by bringing health services closer to the people around Mapiveni. The Director of Health Services, Dr. Vusi Makakula, applauded Rotarians for assisting government in achieving SDG 2, which speaks to good health and well-being for all.
The minister has officially launched the commemoration of Oral Health Day. This is a day that is commemorated every year, but this year Eswatini is commemorating this day on the 4th of April. To commemorate this day, the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with Rotary International, is giving out free health treatment to everyone who needs health assistance at Mapiveni Clinic. Director Health Dr. Vusi Makakula says, this initiative is so to ensure that everyone gets necessary assistance, even those who cannot afford to get some health treatments due to lack of funds will be able to receive appropriate assistance.
Particularly those who are disadvantaged, who hardly have the opportunity to be seen by an oral health personnel. But at this time, it is more than just that. There are even surgeons who are here. There's even neurologists, for an example. There are other medical doctors who are going to be providing a lot of the service which you may need.
Dr. Musa Mtetwa, speaking on behalf of Rotary International, says doctors and nurses are already in place and ready to attend patients.
That are from governments that will be working with us on their spare time. And we've got medical doctors, we've got specialists of all sorts. We've got a urologist that will be coming on Thursday, Dr. Adam, We've got an orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Mkize is going to be coming also on Thursday. And we've got others that will be coming, like the dermatologists, the physicians, and we are going to have quite a number of doctors that will be coming and joining us. People that are not easily accessible, but they'll be here in this rural area.
This initiative will go on up to Friday this week. This initiative is in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, goal number 3, that is about good health and well-being. Reporting, I am Tembelihle Makuchwa with Temba Shabangwe Mapiveni.
The director of Autism Eswatini, Trifina Mvubu, says there's still a need for environmentally friendly classes for autistic children to incorporate them and a need to educate teachers on the behaviors of autistic children. She was speaking during the commemoration of World Autism Day.
The world commemorated the World Autism Day on the 2nd of April under the theme Inclusive Education, which speaks to the challenges autistic children face in their learning. This speaks to inclusive classrooms that are welcoming and diverse. The director of Autism Eswatini, Trifina Mvubu, says a lot still needs to be done in our education system and educating teachers on autism as well.
We are requesting the education department and maybe the entire government as well as our development partners and all stakeholders to help us come together to the table to redefine what inclusive education means for a child with autism. In fact, not just inclusive, but quality inclusive education. What does it mean for a child with autism? Hence the reason why we have contextualized the theme to access to healthcare services and inclusive education for all, for the realization that a child with autism cannot successfully learn without the help of medical professionals. That is the occupational therapist, the speech and language therapist, the physiotherapist, and more. We also need the environment in the school to suit the child with ASD, where we also need things like sensory equipment, the sensory rooms in the schools, so that the children can be in a position to be calmed when they go into sensory overloads, which thing now we do not have. So having said all this, we still need to equip our teachers. We still need to sensitize the children. We need to sensitize even the
She says autistic children couldn't cope with the online learning posed by the COVID-19 pandemic as they rely mostly on face-to-face interaction with their teachers. She says they have a 6 to 8 month program which will start soon, where they will train teachers on autism. She says they can call or bring their autistic children for assessment to their offices in Manzini at the Christian Media Center. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi, Manzini.
The Eswatini Competition Commission has finished the survey on the decision to by local driving schools associations. This has been said by the Cartels and Enforcement Manager at ECC, Lwazi Gunene.
Following complaints by consumers on the fixed prices of driving lessons by local driving schools, the Eswatini Competition Commission began a survey last year to unearth any possible unfair competition practices and any violation of consumer rights. The Cartels and Enforcement Manager at the Commission, Lwazi Gunene, says through the survey they found that the Eswatini Competition Act of 2007 was contravened by the two local driving schools associations with the fixing of driving license prices, and they then offered to pay a certain settlement with the board.
There was a decision or an agreement to fix prices by the association and its members. In our investigation, we gathered that there are 156 or 57 at that time of driving schools operating in Swaziland. We gathered information from them and interviewed them, most of which it came out that they were not aware of the competition law, that this was wrong. It's a practice that they believe they were doing right to protect their business. We gathered the information and also established that, in fact, they had contravened the law. In the process, they then prepared and provided us with a settlement where they made a proposal that can we settle the matter so that it doesn't go to adjudication. They they admitted the allegations. They also all tendered a penalty fee.
Lwazi also mentioned that local businesses and trade associations can volunteer unfair competition information to the Commission for those businesses to be included in their leniency program, where businesses are capacitated on the pillars of the Eswatini Competition Act of 2007. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samka Siwekosa in Babane.
And now we'll have a look at our financial markets.
Standard Bank. It can be.
Good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. Mbabane Highlanders coach Selawotse Sly Mosala says the team still stands a big chance of clinching this year's league despite playing a goalless draw against Tinyosi this past weekend. Mosala was speaking to Eswatini TV Sports after the game at the Mavuso Sports Center.
Following Mbabane Highlanders' goalless draw against Tinyosi this past weekend, Mbabane Highlanders coach has calmed supporters' nerve in believing that the club is still in the chase for this year's league title. The coach believes the club can still clinch this year's title with the remaining 11 games.
We dropped 2 points, but at the end of the day, what? Are you going to cry? Stay here and cry? That won't help. You have to go and prepare. We still have a chance to win the league. We still have a chance to compete. We have to give ourselves a chance to be there with everyone. Professional football is all about pressure. It's how you're taking it. We need to learn to take pressure because the game of football is all about pressure. Wherever you go, it doesn't matter whether you're playing a match or whether you're playing professional. There's pressure because you have to win the game.
Highlanders are on top of the log with only 43 points in 19 games, followed by Royal Leopard with 39 points, having played 17 games in hand against Vovovo. Buffaloes are also looking to be in the chase for the title with 39 points in 19 games. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera with Rinda Dlamini, Babane.
The Secretary General of Eswatini Taekwondo Federation says the federation's main objective at the moment is to qualify for the 2028 Olympic Games to be held in Los Angeles in the United States of America, where they will be looking to return home with first ever Olympic. Mabuza believes their current performance rather in regional competitions will boost their preparations. Mabuza was speaking to Eswatini TV Sports in Babane.
Taekwondo Federation has in the past been one of the consistent local sporting codes who have made Eswatini getting used of returning home with medals whenever representing the country internationally. The best example would be the recent Region 5 Games in Lesotho in December last year.
We are going to be having a series of trainings and national team tryouts.
According to the association's Secretary General Sizwe Mabuza, the journey continues even this year, where they cannot wait for this year's Region 5 Games in Malawi. However, Mabuza says the federation's bigger picture is the 2028 Olympic Games to be held in Los Angeles in the United States, where they want to return home with first ever Olympic medals for Eswatini.
Siqhubele agenda and possibly achieve maybe the first medal for the country kuma Olympic Games or World Championships in as far as Taekwondo is concerned.
Mabuza concluded mentioning that schools' partnership Taekwondo programs will be resuming this year after being on hold due to COVID-19. Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
That's all for now. Before we go, let's have a look at our headlining stories.
The now concluded Bugano ceremony for 2022 was a huge success. The Minister of Finance says smallholder farmers need support for them to tap into commercial farming. The Kingdom of Eswatini joined the rest of the UN family in celebrating World Oral Health Awareness Day.
And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team. Thank you for staying with us. Good night.
lutsandvo lutesula umphalo wekukhatsateka lawetfula alunamgomo lokufana nemfula lukheleta busuku nemini imini iletsa litsemba nebusuku bekukwetsena ngikucocele letivutsa sigodzi sonke tindzaba letishisako telutsandvo vula ntfombi ngifake tetsembiso ngikufunde ngelikusasa lelicwebetela mine nawe.
Are you happy